Hi guys, today for the video I'm going to go through all my fixed blade knives. I've had some pretty high rotation since my last collection video, and just to keep it interesting I'm going to give each one a rating out of 4 stars for each of the possible fixed blade knife categories that I can envision. So each knife that I show is going to get a star rating out of 4 for bushcraft, survival, camp, tactical. So bushcraft being fine woodworking and making tools out of wood. Survival being heavier tasks, the overall durability of the knife, the ability for it to be sort of the one tool option if you're in a pickle. Camp for just your general ease of use and standard slicing and average use knife purposes like cutting food and light woodworking processes and that sort of thing. And then tactical, how good the knife would be if pushed into a tactical role. So let's get into it. I'll try and keep it brief, and we'll try and keep it a pretty rapid fire video. So bang bang bang, just to keep your all attention spans focused. I know I struggle with it when people go on, so enough of that, let's get into it. Alrighty, first off we'll start small. This is the Mora Eldra Sneck knife. It's a 12C27 little fixed blade. The steel is stainless, has a sharpened spine, has a very sharp Scandinavian edge. The flaws that I found with this knife are that the steel is a little bit soft for such an extreme edge geometry, so it does roll a little bit. But the pros are it's very good, comfortable to use. It's got a really good simple sheath, overall great simplicity, great design, rating in the corner. Next is the Falkniven S1 VG10 laminated steel. Really good cross-spectrum use knife, highly durable, can be pushed into any of the sort of possible 4 tasks fairly well, probably the weakest being, I guess, a tactical blade, but in terms of my concerns that's the least of all, so really good all-round performer. The rating will be in the corner. The Mora Companion, quintessential bushcraft knife. This is the stainless version of it. It doesn't have a rounded spine, it's just your standard 3mm thick or 2.8mm thick, I believe, companion, not the heavy duty one. But it's a really good knife, one of the more comfortable grips. Obviously it's more aimed towards bushcraft, as the rating in the corner will show. This is the LT Wright Genesis. This is again a really good bushcraft knife, probably a little bit low ground for too much else apart from your fine wood carving work, but at that it is excelsior. Very, very good. A2 tool steel, 4-inch blade, nice micarta handle, full tang, strong knife. I'd suggest best for bushcraft, perhaps survival purposes as well. Spyderco Enough. Small fixed blade from Spyderco, solid hunk of VG10 steel, nice and thick, very, very ergonomic, comfortable grip. Very good, but slightly too loose cross draw sheath, but for average purposes it shouldn't be any problems at all. Really, really good sort of camp carry knife. Because it's quite small, it's not going to be a massive performer in the ratings in the corner, but it's a good one overall, and I would heartily recommend it for more of your EDC or companion fixed blade tasks. Very, very good little knife there. Mora Bushcraft Black, my sort of personalised one with the absolute zero Scandi grind. Excellent bushcraft knife, one of the most comfortable handles, really good, well ground, nice sort of substantial thick spine here. Not really too much bad to say about it. Again, it's going to be focused more on your bushcraft. The blade is a bit thinner than, say, the LT Wright, so it's probably going to be a bit better on your food or your camp tasks as well. No noticeable impediments from having the absolute ground Scandi. It's still a pretty tough edge, I've found. Rating in the corner. The SE4. Wonderful camp knife, great survival knife. It was a little bit longer, it'd score a little bit higher in the survival aspects. Micarta handles, 1095 steel, nice, simple, great warranty, good leather sheath. Very simple, nice leather sheath, no problems at all with that. Really very much multi-purpose knife. It's kind of, to me, reminds me of sort of the carbon steel variant of the Falkniven F1, which is, you know, another really great sort of all-purpose knife. Very, very good. Ratings in the corner for this one. Points docked for, you know, tacticality, because it's a bit short and a bit, you know, these grips aren't going to withstand, you know, stabbing and combat sort of thing. That's about it. Apart from that, a really good broad use blade. Hardcore Hardware LFK7. This is a little, I guess, a companion blade for more of a soldier role, so it's got really, really good grips for more or less anything, but it's going to excel in your small sort of tactical, you know, recon stealth kind of role. But it's also quite a decent survival knife. It's just impeded by its length to get the really high ratings, but for a knife this short, it's really, really highly durable, and you could definitely bet your life on this one, I would suggest, provided you didn't need anything this long. However, that would be really interesting if they did keep the same handle but lengthen the blades. That would be quite a cool thing. Great sheath, D2 steel, just a nice little EDC fixed blade, definitely very different as well. So mainly tactical, some survival purposes, and it'll do okay at camp. Falkniven A1. So this is the survival knife sort of leading the pack at Falkniven. It's almost, it is a 6-inch blade, a little bit extra when you factor in all the way to the handle. It's got a Thermo-Run or Kraton type plastic handle, I forget which ones. It's nice and rubbery, nice big grip. It's got a more exaggerated grip than the others. Good forward choil, really thick, almost 1/4 inch spine there, 2.24 inches. Convex grind, really, really durable. This is going to be your primary survival knife. Not a bad camp knife, a bit too thick for anything too fine in terms of bushcraft. It'll do all your basic jobs, but it'll excel in survival. So very, very good blade right there. All of these knives are good, really. There's not going to be a terrible one. I'm just sort of rapping about what they're best at. I hope you're enjoying the new lighting setup as well, by the way. I've just got a fluoro going down on my new workbench, so it should be pretty good. The next knife is the Cold Steel SRK. Not a bad knife, probably one of my least favourites though. It is definitely a primary use survival knife. The saber grind here makes it not too bad for camp tasks. This is just an ideal, especially if you can get them cheap, ideal kind of bug out bag, leave and forget type blade. A couple of things make it inferior to the Falkniven for me in terms of just the grip being a little bit too rubbery, a bit too intense. I'd love to have a pommel here as well, but really, really highly durable knife, so excelling in that survival capability. The AUA steel will hold its edge just fine against wood and food, perhaps not, you know, fibrous rope, but a really, really good overall knife. As long as you're not expecting to be using it all the time. I wouldn't want this as my primary go-to, but you could do a lot worse than getting stuck with one of these. Rating up in the corner there. Great sheath as well from Cold Steel. This is the Bark River Bravo 1. Again, in that sort of class of the Falkniven S1. Main problem here is the sheath, but just rating the blades, it's going to be very similar to the S1, hitting across all the target categories pretty well. Maybe slightly better tactically and slightly better for hunting than the S1, but just overall, really couldn't go wrong if this was your only knife. You'd be able to get more or less anything you needed to get done. This is in 3V steel. And it's got a polished micarta handle, all sorts of variances. You can get them a bit thicker, made of A2, get them with all sorts of fantastic handle materials. Really, really nice, very high quality knife. Shame the sheath is a bit rubbish, but you can look at my review for that one and see why. Next is, let's go, this one's obviously purely tactical. This is a straight up 4-star tactical knife. Excellent blade to take to a knife fight if that's your cup of tea. This is the Hardcore Hardware MFK4. It's got all the good hallmarks, you know, cross guard, really grippy, full hand-filling handle. It's got the serrations for your urban sort of survival uses. So it rates a little bit as a survival knife for your, you know, actual in the city survival situations, I would guess. Not the best bushcraft knife. Reasonable enough camp knife, but it's not going to score too highly on many of the factors apart from being tactical, because that is exactly what it is, as you can tell by its outward appearance. Really, really enjoyable knife to have in my collection. Falkniven S1, a bit like the SE4. its numbers are going to be hampered by its length. The length does reduce its effectiveness in, I think, I would say survival tasks, and but apart from that, it's a good thin, not thin, but it's good sort of controllable and nimble knife. Nimble's the word I'm looking for, to do all of your sort of camp tasks. Great camp knife, great little bushcraft knife. The convex grind has nothing to worry about in terms of is it clumsy or anything like that. Really, really well executed convex on this one. A bit too small for tactical, and it'll make an okay survival knife overall, but good for your bushcraft tasks, good for your camp tasks. A lot worse you could get stuck with in a Falkniven F1. This is the VG10 steel model. They do a couple of other, they do a tan-handled one now with the laminated COS steel, and they do a pro model as well. This one's the Ontario Bushcraft. This is probably, I don't have any bad knives. This is probably one of the weaker knives in my collection. Very light and nimble knife. I'd say this is a 4-star camp knife. Really, really excellent for just having on your belt. It's really, really light, but in terms of moving to the other uses, not as great. So the flat grind's going to struggle a little bit with your, in my opinion, with your bushcraft tasks, just because it's really light. You do get control, but the tips are kind of it's a bit too far, a bit of an awkward shape, just to be getting your your little notching and that sort of stuff done. Much better other knives to be using for those sorts of things. 5160 steel. It'll do survival okay. It's probably a bit thin to be doing the proper brutal survival tasks like digging holes with and that sort of stuff. And the steel dulls fairly quickly, so just something to keep in mind there. But rating up in the corner, as you can see, it's not terrible at anything, but it's just not great at anything either. So apart from being a good camp knife, comes with a good sheath though. Probably a little bit expensive. I wouldn't really recommend it unless you can get it for a really good price. That's the Ontario Bushcraft field knife. And lastly, we're going to look at the Trailmaster. Hard to categorise a knife like this. If there was a 5th fun category, this would get 4 stars in that. I would say it's probably a good weapon knife because it's just huge and scary. Survival knife, yeah, absolutely. It's really thick. It definitely batten through any of your wood. I know there was problems with them being weak here, but I think the O1 steel in this one is probably going to take a bit more punishment than other sort of, the ones that you have seen fail, which are all in the SK5. So great survival knife, great tactical knife, just a bit big to be a realistic camp knife or bushcraft knife especially. So that's the Cold Steel Trailmaster. So I hope you enjoyed this little run through. Knives that I am missing, I've got the Gerber Strong Arm, which is at work, and that is about sort of middling again, a bit like the Falkniven F1 or S1 perhaps. Does everything pretty well. Great sort of one, get stuck with one knife, could do a lot worse. And the Cold Steel Leatherneck is at the post office right now. I've got another one of them in D2 steel. I'll probably just do a review on that one rather than rating it now. Alright, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video, dudes. Bye.